A woman can decide whether she's attracted to a man before he finishes his first sentence. Not after the third date. Not after she learns his job title. Within seconds, sometimes less. For decades, scientists assumed attraction was slow, a process built on shared values, trust, time. But when researchers started timing it, they found something unsettling. The verdict is often made almost instantly, and everything that follows is just the brain justifying a decision it already made. This isn't a dating tip. This is a pattern buried in human evolution, one that most people never learn to see, let alone control. In the 1990s, evolutionary psychologist David Buss studied mate preferences across 37 cultures, from Zulu villages to Western cities. The results were strange. Despite wildly different customs, women across nearly every society were drawn to the same narrow set of cues. Not wealth alone, not looks alone. A specific combination of signals tied to one thing: the ability to protect and provide, layered under something far more primal. Because underneath the modern dating app, the brain is still running software written 100,000 years ago. And that software is obsessed with survival, not romance. Let's start with the body. Researchers at the University of Texas found that women rate men with broader shoulders and a defined jawline as more attractive, but only up to a point. Too extreme, and trust drops. The sweet spot isn't the most masculine face. It's the most masculine face that still looks safe. That single finding cracks something open. Attraction isn't about maximum dominance. It's about calibrated dominance. A man who signals strength, but not danger. Then came the voice. In a study published in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society, researchers dropped a man's vocal pitch by a few hertz and played it back to women. The lower voice was rated more attractive, more confident, more capable of protection. A few hertz. That's it. Something as small as vibration in the throat was enough to shift perceived dominance. But here's where it gets darker. Confidence, it turns out, isn't actually about how a man feels inside. It's about how still his body stays under pressure. Psychologist Amy Cuddy's research on nonverbal behavior showed that people unconsciously scan for microsignals of anxiety. Fidgeting hands, shifting weight, eyes that dart. Not because those signals mean danger, because they mean unpredictability. And the ancient brain does not trust what it cannot predict. So a man could be terrified on the inside and still be read as powerful, purely because his body didn't leak it. That's the first uncomfortable truth. Attraction often has almost nothing to do with what a man actually is. It has everything to do with what his body communicates before his mind gets a say. Then there's status. Not money. Status. A landmark study from 1990 by researchers Ellis and Simons found that women's attraction spiked when a man was observed being respected by other people, especially other men. Not described as respected. Observed. A man laughing with friends who clearly admired him registered as more desirable than the same man described on paper with double the income. This is where it turns almost predatory in its efficiency. The brain isn't measuring a man's worth directly. It's outsourcing the judgment to the group around him. If others treat him as valuable, the nervous system assumes he must be. And this is where most men get it backwards. They try to prove value through words, through effort, through explanation. But the primal brain was never listening to the words. It was scanning posture, tone, pace, and the reactions of the room. Here's the twist almost nobody talks about. Anthropologist Helen Fisher, who studied the neurochemistry of attraction for over 3 decades, found that the early spike of attraction floods the brain with dopamine, the same chemical involved in addiction. which means that first instant reaction a woman feels isn't really about compatibility at all. It's closer to a craving response. Fast, chemical, and almost entirely unconscious. So the forbidden truth is this: instant attraction is not a reward for being a good man. It's not even primarily about being an attractive man. It's the nervous system pattern matching a stranger against ancient survival cues in a fraction of a second. Cues involving calmness under pressure, a lowered voice, a body that isn't leaking anxiety, and visible respect from other people. None of it requires charm. None of it requires wealth. And almost none of it is conscious on either side. Which means the men who seem to attract people effortlessly usually aren't doing anything mystical. They've simply, knowingly or not, aligned themselves with signals written into the human brain long before language existed. And that raises the real question this channel exists to ask. If attraction is really just an ancient survival algorithm running in the dark, how much of what we call love is actually a choice at all? Next time, we're going into the psychology of why some people fall for the exact person who's wrong for them over and over without ever noticing the pattern. Subscribe if you want to see how deep this rabbit hole really goes.